let the family come on and introduce themselves and their loved one. We have Mary Adam.
Hi,
And
my name is Mary Adam. I'm here with my cousins Anthony and Jennifer Allegrini, um, and probably family as well, whose son Anthony Allegrini was senselessly murdered by Pennsylvania State Police in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on June 4th, 2023. Thank you, Marissa, for having us. Are we just good to go? I did prepare something, so I'm just going to kind of plow through to try to get to some of the details of Anthony's case. So I apologize for all the information, but I just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to get it all out there. So Anthony Allegrini Jr., an 18-year-old pure light in this world, drove past a car meet on I-95. And because they arrived so late into the meetup, Anthony drove past it, went all the way to the end of the line of parked cars, and pulled over on the shoulder. He was the first car in a line of parked cars. Anthony and his friends turned the car off, got out of the car, and walked back to watch other cars do donuts and things from the shoulder. So there's evidence of this. He was just watching, he was not even participating. Troop K Philadelphia of the Pennsylvania State Police arrived at the scene, and we have to ask ourselves, what would have been their purpose that night? Would it have been to stop and ticket or arrest the drivers of the cars that were disturbing the peace? Or would it have been to clear the road and the area as they typically would do? Or were they arriving ready to make an example out of someone? So, after hearing us tell Anthony's story, which purpose do you think Pennsylvania State Police achieved? I'm going to start with just some of the bias and the police profiling. Police profiling comes in many different forms, but profiling based on age and gender is one of them. And this story is about the first two Pennsylvania State troopers that arrived to the scene that night. They pulled up next to an average car of teenage females, and remaining inside of their vehicle and without drawing their weapons, they asked them for their licenses and IDs. Then they pulled up in front of Anthony's vacant car. And when Anthony and the boys were on foot and returned to the car to clear the area and go home, the officers gave no commands. They didn't even acknowledge them when they were on foot. But once the four teenage boys entered what I would describe as a nicer, expensive vehicle with tinted windows, Trooper Robert Sobek Jr. and his partner immediately exited their police cruiser with their weapons drawn without probable cause, aiming their weapons at Anthony and his friends while he was still on the shoulder of the road. The boys in the car thought their drawn weapons were just flashlights, not even realizing that the flashlights were actually at the end of their firearms. And still, no commands were given. As witnesses stated, once he stepped out of his police cruiser, it only took Robert Sobek Jr. 10 to 15 seconds to pull the trigger through the front windshield, striking Anthony with one bullet fired as he was looking back, attempting to merge. He didn't even see it coming. In terms of protocols and policies broken here, at that time, Pennsylvania State Police were not equipped with body cameras. They used dash cameras with audio recording devices that they wore on their chest. Upon arrival, the officers intentionally positioned themselves in front of Anthony's car, intentionally pointing their dash camera towards a wall. Not only that, but they had their audio recording devices turned off and left them hanging on the sun visors of their police cruiser. They had ample time to equip themselves properly when responding to the scene if they wanted to. After Anthony was shot, his car drifted off the shoulder and into the road. He was able to stop the car and put it in park before anyone else was injured. The two officers forced the boys out of the car and onto the ground. After continuing to aim his firearm at Anthony, who was rolling around on the ground bleeding, Robert Sobek Jr. turned his back to Anthony to peer into Anthony's car, indicating that Anthony is not a threat to him in any way. Why is he looking in the car? For a reason to shoot. Except he found nothing. No weapons, no drugs, no threat whatsoever. But then Sobek turned back around, aimed his state-issued firearm at Anthony once again while he was on the ground bleeding, still very much alive. Then, when a witness and another innocent bystander asked Sobek, "Why did you shoot him?" Sobek angrily pivoted, lunged towards, and aimed his firearm at that innocent witness's face. This is on video. Meanwhile, Anthony was still on the ground bleeding and crying for help. Mind you, Robert Sobek Jr. was a combat medic, meaning everyone listening to this right now have all paid money to train him in life-saving tactics from gunshot wounds. For an outrageous amount of time, Sobek and his partner refused Anthony medical aid after they were the ones that shot him, circling his body as he bled out and asked for help. Sobek and his partner prevented medical care, such as an ambulance, from accessing Anthony. They directly prevented him from receiving life-saving medical attention. Witnesses can be heard in videos crying, begging, and pleading for the officers to help Anthony, even saying at one point, "What the hell is wrong with you? You're just standing there. Help him." This is all on video. On top of that, this horrific tragedy occurred only 5 minutes from a world-renowned trauma center, Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now let's talk quickly about evidence. The Pennsylvania State Police later claimed that they were struck by Anthony's vehicle, suffering leg injuries, and that's why Sobek fired. However, various pieces of evidence show that was impossible. One including the autopsy report, which says that the entry wound from the shooter's vantage point was down and to the left, right? So this shows that the bullet entered from a side angle, meaning Sobek was not in front of the vehicle. And I've never seen anyone struck by a vehicle while standing next to it. Not to mention, there's a video of the moment the trigger was pulled. And both headlights are clearly visible, indicating Sobek and his partner were both on the sides of the vehicle. Furthermore, there's absolutely no evidence of any leg injury of any kind. 0 witnesses saw them limping. 0 videos show them limping. 0 witnesses heard complaints of pain. 0 videos indicate they were in any pain whatsoever as they paced the scene and circled Anthony's body. Also, Anthony's car had equipment that would indicate any type of collision, and there was no collision. There was no damage to Anthony's car. Now that you have more information, what do you think the state trooper's purpose was that night? More importantly, how would you feel if that were your child left to die on the side of the road? Please feel free to ask us any and all questions that you may have. We are an open book and we are happy to talk about it. We are happy to answer any and all questions that you have. In terms of call to action, if you could please follow our social media accounts for more detailed information on the case and for updates. We have things in the works and we do need your support. You could never imagine the battle that we have to fight against a state agency and political figures. So we need every single voice that we can get. So on Instagram, at About Anthony Allegrini Jr. talks a lot about the details and events of the case. At This is Anthony Allegrini Jr. is a page dedicated to remembering just what an incredible young man Anthony was and what a bright future he had. On TikTok, my bad. On TikTok, at Anthony Allegrini Jr. And please, please, please check out our YouTube account as well, dedicated to exposing the truth about June 4th, 2023. That's at Anthony Allegrini Jr. as well. And the final thing I'd like to say, if I could just have like one more minute. We have also started a 501c3 foundation in Anthony's name, the Anthony Allegrini Jr. Foundation. And the mission of the foundation is to provide youth in our community access to the sport that Anthony loved so much, which is ice hockey. The foundation helps offset club fees and equipment costs for youth that want to play the sport, but don't have the means to do so. So we'll be holding our 2nd annual Pucks for Purpose Charity Cup in Aston, Pennsylvania, with all proceeds to benefit the foundation and to promote the sport. If you're interested in submitting a team, please reach out to us. If you're interested in making a tax-deductible donation to the foundation, they can be made at anthonyallegrinijr.com. That's ANTHONYALLEGRINIJR.com. Thank you so much to Marissa from Voices of Strength for organizing this incredibly special event and providing all of us with this opportunity to share. And to all survivors and families of victims of police brutality, we stand with you and we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, and really appreciate you guys coming on. Was it